Hi everyone, and welcome to my channel called Zuzana Reacts, where you help me to learn all about India and I share my point of view as a Slovak person from Central Europe. In today's video, we're going to look into Jaishankar with commenting on the Ukrainian-Russian conflict. I have seen this video before quite some time ago, so it's a longer video, but I haven't watched this in a while, and I'm full disclosure, very apolitical, but let's see what I have to say about the situation. So let's dive right in.
We don't send people out there saying go buy Russian oil. We send people out there saying go buy oil. Buying Russian gas is not funding the war. I think I'm entitled to have my own side. I'm entitled to weigh my own interests, make my own choices. Europe has to grow out of the mindset that Europe's problems are the world's problems. But the world's problems are not Europe's problems.
I love Mr. Jaishankar. I think he is truly amazing. I've seen him speak at different events, and he just gives it as it is. So he is a very, I believe, impressive politician coming from India. I may not always agree, but I'll just share my point of view. In fact, the conference he was speaking at, it was taking place in Bratislava. It's actually where I live. So yeah, he was actually in Slovakia. How funny.
In terms of our oil purchases, we don't send people out there saying go buy Russian oil. We send people out there saying go buy oil.
So I see where he's coming from. Like, if you're a good businessman, you just want to get the best price, right? So you can get the best profit. And what he's essentially saying, he's basically saying, well, I just want a best deal for my country. However, you're in politics. It's not that straightforward. Obviously, Slovakia is part of the European Union, which means that we are bound by agreements and things that we have to adhere to. Maybe India, I don't know, doesn't have these types of agreements, but where you buy natural resources does show how politically motivated you are, regardless if you put the entrepreneurial mask on or not. So I get what he's trying to say. However, these decisions do signal kind of where you stand in different foreign matters.
Now, you buy the best oil you can in the market.
Is this not?
So I don't think
And
I
this
would
is
attach a
where
political
I disagree with
messaging
him because
to that.
of what I've just
West
mentioned.
seems to be quite vociferous in trying to curtail funding for the war in Ukraine, whereas by purchasing this oil for national interest, India is being asked, are you funding this war?
So look, I mean, I don't want to sound argumentative, but then tell me, buying Russian gas is not funding the war? I mean, why is it's only Indian money and oil coming to India which funds, but it's not gas coming to Europe which funds? I mean,
and I like his point here. He's totally, I believe, calling out the hypocrisy that has been happening. So all kudos to Mr. Jaishankar.
look, somewhere, I mean, let's be a little even-handed out here. If countries in Europe and the West and the United States are so concerned, why don't they allow Iranian oil to come into the market? Why don't they allow Venezuelan oil to come into the market? I mean, they've squeezed every other source of oil we have, and then say, okay, guys, you must not go into the market and get the best deal for your people. I don't think that's a very fair approach.
I hear where he's actually coming from here. I think he has actually some points.
With India counting on global support for in its struggle with China, its issues with China, how do you think you'll be trusted by others after that? Why do you think anyone will help Delhi after you didn't help others over Ukraine?
It's an interesting question.
You see, it was Bratislava. Um, yeah, let's continue. Sorry, I just got overexcited.
Question which you might, I mean, not you, meaning you personally, but people might want to ask themselves, because if I were to take Europe collectively, which has been singularly silent on many things which were happening, for example, in Asia.
Okay, so I just want to call something out because I have some Indian friends, and I've been hearing this perception that there is an understanding there is such a thing as a European, which there is. Don't get me wrong, but Europe is very, very diverse. And that's what he's currently doing here. Like, if we take Europe collectively, it's impossible to take Europe collectively. Even within the European Union, you have Western European countries like Germany, the UK, France, and then you have countries like mine, like Slovakia, Czech Republic, Hungary, Poland, which are culturally like worlds and worlds apart. And then you have the countries of Benelux. The culture there is so different. So to unite us, you can only do perhaps under the free market, but culturally, we're absolutely different. Therefore, opinions in European Parliament differ, etc. And therefore, I think that the project of European Union might not have been the simplest. The benefits of the union in terms of trade have been significant and definitely helped to grow the European market. However, culturally, we are very different. We have very different political views. For example, Slovakia might have very different views from people in Germany or people in France, and vice versa.
You could ask, why would anybody in Asia trust Europe on anything at all? Today, Europe is buying oil. Europe is buying.
And one more thing, actually. The moderator was asking about China, and I'm not too sure. I never really heard about the issues between India and China, and I would absolutely love if you could educate me on those in the comment section below.
Buying gas. I just read the new package of sanctions. Now, the package is designed in a way in which consideration has been given to the welfare of the population. So, pipelines have a certain carve out. And timelines have been given. It's not like tomorrow morning everything's going to be cut off. So
He's right there.
people need to understand, if you can be considerate of yourself, surely you can be considerate of other people. So if a Europe says, look, we have to manage it in a way in which its impact on my economy is not traumatic, that freedom or that choice should exist for other people as well. Europe has to grow out of the mindset that Europe's problems are the world's problems, but the world's problems are not Europe's problems.
So that's a very interesting call out. And again, I'm a political. I haven't really been watching politics because I feel like nothing ever changes. So I don't know where his statement is coming from about Europe's problems. I mean, one thing that comes to mind is actually, obviously, there were two world wars held on our territory, and I don't think any other country had that of a devastating, especially they were led through my countries. And then Poland has been completely like flattened out pretty much. So there is a lot of trauma on Europe's land, I would say. So I'm not too sure how it relates to politics. That was just my 2 cents.
That if it is you, it's yours. If it is me, it's ours.
There could be, I'm sure there could be some sort of hypocrisy coming from here.
There is a linkage today which is being made. A linkage between China and India and what's happening in Ukraine. So come on, guys. I mean, China and India happened way before anything happened in Ukraine. We have a difficult relationship.
I love how he says, come on, guys. It's like, what are you talking about? It has zero relevance here. He is very smart. I love this guy.
With China. We're perfectly capable of managing it. It's if I get global understanding and support, obviously it is of help to me. But this idea that I do a transaction that I come in one conflict because it will help me in conflict too. That's not how the world works.
Well, here I would tend to disagree. I think this is exactly how politics work. But obviously, every country does the politics in a different way. So I'm not too sure how Indians do their political affairs. But this is why I don't like politics, because I don't believe it's clean. I believe it's dirty, and you can't trust anyone.
So a lot of our problems in China have nothing to do with Ukraine, have nothing to do with Russia. They predate it.
Jaishankar, there will always be two axes at this point. I think it's an understood, accepted fact that you have the West, US-led, you have China as the next potential axis. Where does India fit into this? But are you planning to not decide?
No, I'm sorry. That is exactly where I disagree with you. This is the construct you are trying to impose on me, and I don't accept it. I mean, I don't think it's necessary for me to join this axis or not, and if I'm not joining this, I must be with the other one.
I love that. I actually love what he's saying there, because over the last couple of years, obviously tensions across the world have been really high, and what she's saying, it's been politically, historically, perhaps okay, but over the last couple of years, things have escalated, and it's been either you agree or disagree with me. You cannot be in the middle, because if you're in the middle, you're not with me. And I think this is what he's calling out, and he's, in my opinion, calling out the right facts there. And he has a very valid point, and this is what lots of people, in my opinion, should be really looking into, like trying to consider pros and cons. What's so wrong about that? Why do I always have to accept your perception of the world? You don't live in my country, in my world. And I think, as he says,
I don't accept it. I mean, I think I am
exactly.
I'm 1/5 of the world's population.
Exactly. Like,
I'm
he's entitled to
today
his
the 5th or
opinion.
6th largest economy in the
Why
world.
would I need to
I
accept
mean,
the
forget the
construct?
history.
And I love that about him. I love that he stood his ground, and he has a valid point. I think he's a really great politician, by the way.
Civilization bit, everybody knows that. But I think I'm entitled to have my own side. I'm entitled to weigh my own interests, make my own choices, and my choices will not be cynical and transactional, but they will be a balance of my values and my interests.
Which is,
there is no country in the world which disregards its interests.
Oh, there is Slovakia. I can tell you that much.
The wheat was actually being stocked for being traded. So in a way, our goodwill was being used for speculation. So we had to do something to stop that, because it was also impacting us at home. Our prices were going up. So I want to be very clear what we have done. We have actually said, look, we're not going to give speculators an open access to the Indian market, so that the Indian customer and the LDCs of the world get the short end of that.
It's a fair statement from him, and I guess fair dose coming from India.
And preventing a diversion to high-income countries with a greater possibility to buy, because what we saw happen with the vaccines, we don't want to see happen with the wheat, which was the rich people got vaccinated and the poor were left to God. And
I love that. I love that he basically stood his ground, and he was really, I feel like, convincing in the way he was talking about it. I mean, it's almost right now a water under the bridge. But hey, I really like Jaishankar. He has many valid points. There are certain parts I don't agree with him, but if you could help me understand better where India politically stands with the relationship with China, it would be so much appreciated if you could pop your questions, comments in the comment section below. And I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.